Hi, I am live. Um, Been a bit of a while, hasn't it? Um, I had planned actually on doing a proper comeback video, but it's not. No. Um, but this channel isn't dead. Just want to let you know that it's not dead. I am still here. Um, just. But I thought, what a perfect time to bore you with what I've been up to. So I'll pop you there. I'm doing a pile of laundry, getting it ready for putting away. So where to begin, really? Last year, around my birthday, I started having thoughts in my mind about, do I have a drinking problem? And the most simple answer to that, in the shortest form, is yes. And by the time my birthday actually came around, I had already looked into, like any treatments, I guess you'd say. Were any of them available in my area? If so, what were they? And all that good stuff. And then I think it was just after my birthday, my brother reached out to me and said that basically, he thought I had a drinking problem, need to get it sorted, and that sort of thing. So that was kind of like a big push. And that is what actually started the ball rolling, really, because when I got that message off him, there is a huge part of me that knows from my past behaviour that I would have just gone, I don't have a problem. What are you on about? It's you that's got the problem. You see an entity, you're crazy. But he was right. I had a problem. So I had a little bit of a breakdown that morning. But I spoke with my mum, a couple of friends, and yeah, we arranged help, basically. So why did people think I had a drinking problem? Because for me, during lockdown, I'd started using alcohol as a way to pass the time, I guess is the best way I can put it. It's not the way to pass time, obviously, but I didn't have anything else to do. We were still being told, stay at home. And I'm not blaming it on the pandemic, because more than likely my drinking would have gone that way anyway. But all the lockdowns and everything sped it up, in my opinion. Obviously, my opinion doesn't really mean a lot. It's not an exact science, is it really, as to like, why did you start drinking? Because you can never really answer that for a lot of cases. But yeah, that's what happened. So I would say, for example, go and sit in my living room and just be like, nothing to do. Have a few. Oh, just get pissed, get drunk, and put whatever you want on YouTube, and it'll be fine, and whatever. And then the next day, you'd wake up and be like, "Oh, I had a really good time last night. Let's do it again." And yeah, that was that mentality was leading me down this road. A road which, I want to say I don't recommend, but do you know what? For a lot of people, for the majority of people on this planet, alcohol is not, and potentially never will be, a problem. And that's something I've learned. So yeah, I know now I can say that, as in, like, it won't be a problem for some people, because I know for a fact it always will be a problem for some people. Even if they don't know it and it's not straight away, it will become a problem. It's inevitable. So I'm not against alcohol per se. If you can do it, go out, get drunk, go and have a good time, because part of the treatment that I've gone through is to acknowledge my history with alcohol, in saying that, sorry, I'm getting messages, but in acknowledging it, I'm not keeping it as a secret, and I never will keep it as a secret. I've got a problem with alcohol, and it forever is going to be a thing in my life that I have to remain sober. So anyway, worst of me drinking, because, like, when I started drinking alcohol, and I'm going back to, like, my teenage years here, when I started drinking, it wasn't at home, it was nights out only. And then it started that we would have pre-drinks, and occasionally you'd go around to someone's house and there'd be a house party and all that, but to me, I always classed that as still going out, and all that stuff. And yeah, that's how it went in my mind. Anyway, it then went from that to, drinking at home, but only when someone came round. And I didn't have people around because I wanted a drink. I had the people around because, they were available, I was available, it was a catch up, it was whatever. But then, during lockdown, obviously, it became a thing of drinking at home alone. And that became a bit too regular. And at my worst, I had a bout of depression, which resulted in me going on a 4-day drinking binge. And that was, excuse the mess, on that couch there for 4 days. The 4 days were woke up, and then had a drink, drank until I passed out. When I woke up from passing out, start on the drink again. I'm just gonna clean my camera. Oh, that is a bit better actually. But yeah, and that went on for 4 days, carried on like that, and mentally your brain's saying it's nothing to live for, it's hopeless, it's pointless, just give up. go out on a high, why not? And all that sort of crap. And obviously over them 4 days I was not eating. Self-care just went out the window. I didn't care about anything. So yeah, anyway, I know it was in June I reached out to them. I'm trying to think now about all the dates and everything. So I think it would have been July that I got a sort of caseworker, if you want to call them that. I don't know the title of them. But it was a woman called Joanne, and she went through basically everything with me, and then said basically what her job is. And her job is to suggest things to me, like different treatments that might work. And she would do all the paperwork and everything like that, you know, to get me into whatever. But the actual work of giving up alcohol, that was down to me. And it is a lot of work, surprisingly. It is the biggest battle I think I've ever fought in my life, mentally and physically. It's weird. But her suggestion was to go to group therapy. Now I thought group therapy, I was like, oh, don't want to go and do that, because that's just a load of fucking smelly old drunks just sat round in a circle, and every week you have to stand up and go, oh, my name's Ed Blood and I'm an alcoholic. But she just said, look, give it a try. 1 or 2 sessions, and if you don't like it, if it's not working for you, ring me back, we'll try something else. So I was like, okay, fair enough. So I remember going along and being really nervous. But I walked into sort of like an office, but you know, one of the conference rooms in an office where they've put all the tables together in the middle of the room and everyone sat round, and there's free tea and coffee. Sometimes there was like orange juice and whatnot. But yeah, and so I got sort of introduced to the group and how it worked, which was and this is only for the group that I go to. I'm not saying every group is like this, but for our group, we have about an hour of what we call catch up, and that is how has your last week been? Because obviously the weekly meetings, or if you've missed one or something like that from your last meeting, what's happened in your life? Anything good? Have you had a drink? If so, why? Or if you haven't, what have you done to, not have a drink? And that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so you have about an hour and everyone does the catch up. And then, yeah, then you have like a 10-minute break. People go off for a fag, or you go and refill your tea and coffee and whatnot. And you then go on to learning, because that's why you go, isn't it? So we've learned up to now, we've learned a little bit of psychology behind addiction, because there are people, the main reason that a lot of people in the group that I go to go is because of alcohol. But there are other people that go that have got other addictions. And, yeah, it can be drugs, can be fucking whatever. But everyone's goal is the same. It's just their journey to that group is different. But everyone is still giving up something. And yeah, I've made quite a few what I would call friends through that. I mean, we haven't swapped phone numbers, which I do need to get a work on actually. But these are people that I can talk to openly. And there is a group policy that whatever is said in that room stays in that room at all times. So even if you saw someone in public and you say hi to them, you don't go, oh, and how's the girlfriend that you kicked down a flight of stairs last week, or stuff like that. You know what I mean? It stays within that room. But that said, you can say anything in that room. So if you think someone was an arsehole, you can tell them. Obviously, do it in a nice way, sort of thing. But the groups weren't what I thought they were going to be. And what will now be 2 weeks ago, I think, I graduated the first level of the course. So I'm going on, waiting to go on to the second part, which is sort of like a more in-depth look. But I've completed the foundations, and I am now, from my last relapse, should we say, now 5 or 6 weeks sober. And it's been difficult. It's been really difficult. But there was a few things that happened that could have made me drink, but didn't, and I don't really know why. Because the TV in my living room broke. That was I'd been on the PlayStation and turned the PlayStation off, got the TV remote, and when I picked it up to point it to the telly, half the screen had gone white. So pretty much fucked. Looked it up on YouTube, and there was a fella like, oh, there's 2 cables in the back. One of them's for the left, one of them's for the right. Checked that they're connected properly, checked that they're cleaned properly, do everything, which I did. And then he said, if that doesn't fix it, it's the motherboard and your TV is fucked. So my TV was up. And yeah, I went about a month with no TV in the living room. Had to use the TV in here. Had my PlayStation on the radiator, like you do. But I got through it, and what will now be yesterday, because of the time, my friend helped me get a TV for in the lounge. It's got a TV back. And don't get me wrong, it was very fucking tempting to have a drink, because you're thinking, as soon as he goes home, I could just have a drink. I could just phone for, whatever delivery, stuff like that. But I didn't. I was really good. In fact, I'll be completely honest. The reason I didn't have a drink is because I was absolutely knackered. But when you're that tired that you get a headache, I was that tired. And then obviously have woken up since and haven't had a drink. And I kind of was, for a little bit, I was a little bit nervous that, if I get a TV back in the living room, that's where I did all me drinking, I'm going to start drinking again. And I didn't. So I'm very proud of myself for that. Well done, me. But like, I had my washing machine that broke, and I had to wait about a month, and then the engineer didn't turn up, so I had to book again. And he did turn up, and he went, that machine's fucked. So anyway, last week I got a new washing machine through the insurance, so it's free, but I got a new washing machine and I'm working my way through all the laundry and stuff like that. So again, made up. So yeah, it's one of them. When talking about my journey, which I do quite a lot, because obviously I've got my other YouTube channel, which is the Fanny LaRue Time. But when I see the chance, I will talk about being an alcoholic. And it is amazing the amount of support that is out there for me, but for you as well, if you are watching this and you are caught up in addiction. And I say caught up in addiction, I mean the ones who are still addicted and still using. I mean the ones in the group therapies or whatever therapy it is. And I also mean the ones after therapy, because it's a lifelong battle. But I've been blown away by the support. You know, friends and family reached out to me straight away when I put about it on my Facebook. They were really, really supportive, which I was made up with. But then a couple of weeks back, I'm guessing everyone watching this, that you probably know about the Darrell Brooks trial. Sorry, that's Brad getting on the bed. So Darrell Brooks, his trial is mental, absolutely mental. And there is a channel on here called This Family Does Everything, but like all one word. And Alexandria from that channel has put together these videos, and she puts like subtitles on of what she's thinking, you know, at that certain part of the video. And I'm so made up because I read her things and I'm like, I was thinking exactly the same thing. But anyway, there was a little bit in that where Darrell Brooks was questioning one of the officers that arrested him. And so he was trying to do this sovereign citizen rubbish. And she used his name. And he said, well, who's that? And she was like, that's you, Darrell Brooks. And she gave him this look. And my mum does it to me, even to this day. My mum gives me that look. I can't do it, right? But it's the look that says, I know you're lying. You know you're lying. So let's just cut the bullshit, shall we? It's that look, right? And I put a comment in the video and I said, you know, I'm quite amazed that I saw that look on the officer's face in the courtroom, because my mum gives me the same look. You know, I'm giving up alcohol, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, if I've relapsed and I don't want to tell my mum, which there are times, don't want that fucking lecture again, I would just say, oh yeah, I'm fine. She'd be like, oh, so how many weeks is that you've been sober now? And look at me, and in my mind, I've then got to go, oh shit, right. The last time I told her that I'd had a drink, that was, what, a month ago. Now, she asked me that about 2 weeks ago, and I said it had been 2 weeks. So it's now another 2 weeks. But that was a month. So, right, and it's 2 weeks on now, so 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And I've got to come up with that in split second. And my mum knows me, and she can read my face without me even saying anything. She knows I'm thinking about it, and if I've got to think, I'm making it up. See, like Darrell Brooks, I'm not a good liar. I like to think I am, but I'm not. And so, yeah, I put that comment on, and I got so many replies. It blew me away. It really did. And then the other day, on another video, but on that channel, I put a comment on and I said, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about having a drink in the comments and blah blah blah. And so many people reached out, and I just want to say thank you, because it really means a lot to me. And some girl, I don't know where she is in the world, can't remember her username off the top of my head, replied to the comments and said that last week her sister died because of alcohol. And that she's proud of me for giving up the alcohol. And that really got to me, because, you know, there's someone lost a sister because of it. And if that was me in that situation, I couldn't be strong enough to be online praising other people. I couldn't do that. And yet this person did. And again, so many other people commented, and they said, you know, I'm going through this problem, or I've gone through this problem, and all this sort of stuff. And it's just mind-blowing. It really is. The support, the love, and everything out there, that it leads me to end this video on a note. And that is, if you think you've got an addiction problem, the likelihood is you already have. And the likelihood is that you're researching it as a way to sort of avoid making that phone call for some help. I'm on the other side of that phone call now, and I can confirm it's a hell of a journey, but you will be so thankful afterwards. You really will. The sad thing is with addiction is it takes most people. It does. It kills them. You know, the first couple of group therapies that I went to, I remember one of the fellas who was in the room, and he'd been sober for, I think it was about a year or something like that. And then, you know, he was there for a couple of weeks. He was doing really good in the groups, and he just stopped turning up, and no one mentioned anything about him until a few months later. And our meeting coordinator, without naming names, basically said, he's dead. He relapsed, and it killed him. So I know people that have died through addiction, and it is horrible. So that's why I say to you, if you're watching this and you are in addiction, go and get yourself the help. If you're watching this and you've been Googling, have I got a problem? Yes, you have. And you need the help. And the sooner the better, really. Because it's not an instant fix at all. There's quite a number of times I've gone to them group meetings, come home and relapsed. So yeah, it's not easy, but it does get better. It does get easier. But yeah, just help yourself. That's it. More than anything, you know. That's all you can do, and that's all I can say to you. So that's where I've been. Hopefully I will have a better video on it soon. Because do you remember in the previous videos I had the headset? Well, I don't really know what's happened with it, but every time I use it, it has this like buzzing noise. So I need to get a new headset. I need to get a new camera. There's a lot of stuff. So it is a work in progress. I will be back. There are already a few little surprises for when I do come back. So yeah, that's all good. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for letting me ramble. And like I said, if you need help, please, please, please go and get the help. And I'll see you in the next video.